Okay, welcome back, you guys, to the second part of the Reign of the Dragons. This is a pretty long chapter, I think, which talks about Aegon's conquest, which I already talked about in the last video, that they are planning to make a movie about. So hopefully they do that. And we left off here, and summary of this is that people believe that Aegon the Conqueror arrived in Westeros out of nowhere, but he was apparently there, as it says here. Dragonstone had been the westernmost outpost of Valyrian power for 2 centuries. So, as we all know, House Targaryen is one of the old Valyrian houses, actually one of the most weak houses, and they were settled there for a time already, and yeah. Here, never set foot upon the soil of Westeros until the day he set sail to conquer it, but this cannot be true. Years before that voyage, the painted table had been carved and decorated at Lord Aegon's command. So, somebody offered him a wife, I think. I'm not sure. I don't remember. Argalic the Arrogant's response to Aegon's offer. The Valyrians on Driftmark were sworn to House Targaryen, as were the Celticars of Claw Isle. From Macy's Hook came Lord Bar Emmon of Sharppoint and Lord Maisie of Stoneland, both sworn to Storm's End, but with the closer ties to Dragonstone. Lord Aegon and his sisters took counsel with them and visited the castle Sept to pray to the Sevens of Westeros as well, though he had never been before accounted a pious man. I'm not sure what that means, I'm sorry. On the 7th day, a cloud of ravens burst from the towers of Dragonstone to bring Lord Aegon's word to the 7 kingdoms of Westeros. To the 7 kings they flew, to the citadel of Old Town, to lords both great and small. All carried the same message. From this day forth, there would be but one king in Westeros. Those who bent the knee to the Aegon of House Targaryen would keep their lands and titles. Those who took up against him would be thrown down, humbled, and destroyed. Accounts differ on how many swords set sail from Dragonstone with Aegon and his sisters. Some say 3,000, others number them only in hundreds. This modest Targaryen house, ashore at the mouth of the Blackwater Rush, on the northern bank where 3 wooded hills rose above a small fishing village. In the days of 100 kingdoms, how many petty kings had claimed domination? I'm just gonna say domination. Over the river mouth, amongst them the Darkling kings of Duskendale, the Macies of Stoneland, and the River kings of Old, be they Mudds, Fishers, Brackens, Blackwoods, or Hooks. I think George R. Martin has a hate for Brackens. If you know, you know. Towers and forts had crowned the 3 hills at various times, only to be thrown down in one war or another. Now, only broken stones and overgrown ruins remained to welcome the Targaryens. Though claimed by both Storm's End and Harrenhal, the river mouth was undefended, and the closest castles were held by lesser lords of no great power or military prowess, and lords moreover had a little reason to love their nominal overlord, Harren the Black. Aegon Targaryen quickly threw up a log and earth palisade around the highest of the 3 hills and dispatched his sisters to secure the submission of the nearest castles. At Stokeworth, a few crossbowmen loosed bolts at Visenya until Vagar's flames set the roofs of the castles ablaze. Then they too submitted. The conqueror's first true test came from Lord Darklane of Duskendale and Lord Mouton of Maidenpool, who joined their power and marched south with 3,000 men to drive the invaders back into the sea. Aegon sent Oris Baratheon out to attack them on the march, while he descended on them from the sky with the Black Dread. Both lords were slain in the one-sided battle that followed. Darklane's son and Mouton's brother thereafter yielded up their castles and swore their swords to House Targaryen. At that time, Duskendale was the principal Westerosi port on the narrow sea and had grown fat and wealthy from the trade that passed through its harbor. Visenya Targaryen did not allow the town to be sacked, but she did hesitate to claim its riches, greatly swelling the coffers of the conquerors. This perhaps would be an apt place to discuss the differing characters of Aegon Targaryen and his sister and queens. Visenya, eldest of the 3, was as much as a warrior as Aegon himself. As comfortable in ringmail as in silk, she carried the Valyrian longsword Dark Sister and was skilled in its use, having trained beside her brother since childhood. Not them being already woke. I think that's actually pretty interesting. That why does it seem that these two are pretty ahead of their time, I guess? While in current setting Game of Thrones, Arya wanting to be a warrior like Visenya or Nymeria is being frowned upon. Though possessed of the silver gold hair and purple eyes of Valyria, hers was a harsh, austere beauty. Even those who loved her best found Visenya stern, serious, unforgiving, and some said that she played with poisons and dabbled in dark sorceries. Rhaenys, youngest of the 3 Targaryen, was all her sister was not. Playful, curious, impulsive, giving to flights of fancy. No true warrior, Rhaenys loved music, dancing, and poetry, and supported many singer, mummer, and puppeteer. Yet it was said that Rhaenys spent more time on Dragonback than her brother and sister combined, for above all things she loved to fly. She once was heard to say that before she died, she meant to fly Meraxes across the Sunset Sea to see what lay upon its western shores. Whilst no one ever questions Visenya's fidelity to her brother husband, Rhaenys surrounded herself with comely young men, and it was whispered, even entertained some in her bedchambers on the nights when Aegon was with her elder sister. That's a bit weird, I'm not gonna lie. The whole entire incest thing, you just gotta look through it, honestly. Like, I have been a Game of Thrones fan for 10 years now, so I don't even like notice it anymore. Sometimes I stop and think about it, but the trick is that you should not do that. Like, do not think, just read it and watch it. Yet despite these rumors, observers at court could not fail to note that the king spent 10 nights with Rhaenys for every night with Visenya. That's so weird, I'm sorry. Anyways, true love. Am I right? Aegon Targaryen himself, strangely, was as much an enigma to his contemporaries as to us. Armed with the Valyrian steel blade Blackfire, that's interesting, we know that name, he was counted amongst the greatest warriors of his age, yet he took no pleasure in feats of arms and never rode in tourney or melee. His mount was Balerion the Black Tread, but he flew only to battle or to travel swiftly across land and sea. His commanding presence drew men to his banners, yet he had no close friends, save Orys Baratheon, the companion of his youth. Women were drawn to him, but Aegon remained ever faithful to his sisters. As king, he put great trust in his small councils and his sisters, leaving much of the day-to-day governance of the realm to them, yet did not hesitate to take the command when he found it necessary. Though he dealt harshly with rebels and traitors, he was open-handed with former foes who bent the knee. Above ravens bearing Aegon's proclamation to all corners of Westeros. So basically, there was a conquest, yes, but he also just basically said, I am your new king, and if you don't like that, then come fight me, I guess. I will continue reading this whole entire chapter. Next time, let me see what this picture is about. Visenya and Vhagar burning the errant fleet. Vhagar is Aemon's dragon in House of the Dragon, as we all know. So that dragon is really old. Let's start a bit at the beginning, and I will continue this in the next one. When Aegon's knights unfurled his great silken battle standard, with a red three-headed dragon breathing fire upon a black field, the lords took it for a sign that he was now truly one of them, a worthy high king for Westeros. When Queen Visenya placed a Valyrian steel circlet studded with rubies on her body's head, and Queen Rhaenys hailed him as Aegon first of his name, king of all of Westeros and shield of his people, the dragons roared and the lords and knights set up a cheer. But the small folk, the fishermen, and the field hands and goodwives shouted loudest of the all. The 7 kings that Aegon the Dragon meant to uncrown were not cheering, however. In Harrenhal and Storm's End, Harren the Black and Argilac the Arrogant had already called their banners. In the west, King Meryn of the Reach rode the ocean road north to Castle Rock to meet with King Loren of House Lannister. The Princess of Dorne dispatched a raven to Dragonstone, offering to join Aegon against Argilac the Storm King, but as an equal and ally, not a subject. Another offer of alliance came from the boy king of the Eyrie, Ronald Arryn, whose mother asked for all the lands east of the Green Fork of the Trident for the veiled support against Black Harren. Even in the north, King Torrhen Stark of Winterfell sat with his lord's bannermen and councillors late into the night, discussing what was to be done about this would-be conqueror. The whole realm waited anxiously to see where Aegon would move next. That's so interesting. I feel like if this is made into a movie, it would be really interesting to see all the other houses, the reaction to his coronation, and they do have a point, like you see this person claiming to be king with dragons and stuff, which were basically like nukes for that time. So So yeah, obviously you would be a bit afraid too to allow him to take over, to bend the knee to him. And I wonder what Torrance Stark did. What his response was. I love the North and I am House Stark. True and true, as you guys might already know. And yeah, I am a big North independent truther. And yeah, we'll see next time what the responses were. Thank you so much for watching. Leave a like and subscribe if you want more. I will be updating this every week. And yeah, have a great night, guys.